The questions of human existence blooming from a burning plain and arid land. Books are difficult and boring. Is it really necessary to take the time to read words on a page? Many of us who live in this era have probably thought about this at some point. Especially when life is exhausting and surviving the immediate realities feels overwhelming, reading old stories or the lives of strangers may seem like a luxury. However, at times, we can find unexpected empathy, comfort, and profound insights that help us reevaluate our lives from the most unfamiliar or distant stories. Today, I would like to introduce Juan Rulfo's short story collection, The Burning Plain, which is precisely such a book. This book is a work by a Mexican author, possibly far from our own cultural context at first glance. However, the essential questions it explores about the human condition, life's suffering and loneliness, and the search for hope, transcend time and deeply resonate with all of us. Please set aside for a moment the burdens of knowledge and cultivation and focus on the cold yet intense sensation carried by the title The Burning Plain. 1. Into the arid story of the burning plain. Juan Rulfo's The Burning Plain, published in 1953, consists of 17 stories set in a small Mexican rural village. As you begin reading, the first thing that overwhelms readers is the sense of drought and desolation. Rulfo's Mexico is a barren land, seemingly scorched by the lack of rain, and the lives of the people living there are as rough and painful as the land itself. The Mexico in which these stories are set experienced significant upheaval in the early 20th century through the Revolution. While the Revolution changed many things, it also left deep scars on many people. The characters in The Burning Plain are peasants, wanderers, and their descendants who live amid the chaos and despair following the Revolution. Most are poor and uneducated, deeply attached to the land, yet exposed to profound injustice and violence. Rulfo's prose is surprisingly concise and restrained. His storytelling, stripped of unnecessary flourishes and focusing only on essentials, gives readers the feeling of viewing a desolate landscape painting. However, within this brevity lie the complex emotions of human beings, and the shadows of death, loneliness, and despair permeate every line. The characters speak little, and their inner lives are revealed primarily through actions, brief dialogue, or silence. Readers are moved to deeply empathize with their suffering, resignation, and at times, their inexplicable tragic fates through this language of silence. For example, in the title story, The Burning Plain, farmers are depicted longing desperately for rain on a dry, barren land to cultivate crops. The displaced people, forcefully relocated by the government, struggle desperately to survive in a land devoid of water, yet no one helps them. This story is not simply a report on drought, it symbolically shows human fragility in the face of nature's vast power and the suffering individuals endure due to the indifference of society and the state. Another story, Talura, portrays people living in the mountains, fleeing while trapped by past violence and revenge. They are unable to fully live in the present, suffering under the shadows of the dead. In this way, every story in The Burning Plain revolves around grand themes such as the boundary between life and death, ghosts of the past, and an inevitable fate. Although many characters face tragic endings, their persistent efforts to maintain at least minimal dignity and resistance against their circumstances leave a strange, profound impression on the reader. Rulfo realistically portrays the world while often incorporating elements of magical realism, blending reality and fantasy. The dead speak like the living, and past events relentlessly follow present characters, demonstrating Mexico's unique perception of life and death. This narrative style immerses readers further into the stories, making Rulfo's novels transcend merely depicting a specific Mexican era. They convey the universal language of human fundamental pain, anguish, and the will to survive. 2. The implications of the arid plain and its connection to our lives. While The Burning Plain appears to be a story set in a distant Mexican countryside, the messages it contains provide deep insights for people living in the present day. The implications of this book are as follows. Understanding human nature and expanding empathy. Rulfo's characters continue to live despite extreme suffering and loneliness. Through their tragic lives, we witness how fragile and yet resilient human beings are. The stories of those struggling at society's bottom make us reflect on the lives of many others we pass by mindlessly in our daily lives. The fact that somewhere in the world, people are still risking everything for mere drops of water or morsels of food reminds us of the comfort and stability we take for granted. This reflection becomes a significant opportunity to expand our capacity for empathy and self-reflection. B. The weight of history and its impact on the present. Rulfo's novels illustrate how past events, such as the Mexican Revolution, continuously affect present individuals. Although the revolution has ended, the resulting wounds and injustices still dominate people's lives. This insight is equally applicable to our society. Our current social systems, culture, and even personal values are not free from historical events. The Burning Plain makes us realize that history is not a lifeless relic locked away in museums but a living, breathing force that influences our lives today. It offers the profound understanding to trace the roots of our conflicts and difficulties back into history. C. Finding the value of life amidst scarcity. The characters in The Burning Plain lives marked by complete scarcity. The land is dry, love is tragic, and hope is faint. Ironically, it is precisely within these extreme conditions of scarcity that we become keenly aware of what the most fundamental needs and values of life really are. A single drop of water in thirst, a small piece of bread in hunger, and a touch of warmth amidst loneliness. When we realize that these things we take for granted are someone else's entire life, we become more deeply grateful for what we have. D. The power of silence and nonverbal communication. Rulfo's characters rarely speak. Their suffering is revealed not through long, detailed explanations but through fragmented dialogue, bleak descriptions of landscapes, and deep silences. This makes readers imagine and interpret the meanings hidden in the silences themselves. In today's society, where information overload is prevalent and there's a tendency to explain everything through words and images, The Burning Plain demonstrates that silent things can sometimes convey the strongest messages. It reminds us of the importance of making efforts to understand emotions and situations beyond words when communicating with others. E. The essence of literature and the power of story. Some may perceive literature as difficult and boring, but The Burning Plain proves otherwise. Although composed of simple stories and concise language, it contains profound questions about human existence and the essential pain of life. This book shows that literature can be more than just entertainment. It can serve as a deep tool for understanding ourselves and the world. Literature has the powerful ability to let us experience others' lives, broaden our perspectives, and see the world through new eyes. 3. To you who will walk through the arid plain. The Burning Plain is certainly not an easy or cheerful read. Death, suffering, and despair permeate its pages. However, precisely because of this, the book leads us to deeper questions about life's meaning and the essence of human existence. At first glance, it might seem distant and unfamiliar, but the pain and hopeless lives of Rulfo's characters will eventually begin to ask us about the questions lurking within our own souls or the life challenges we may face. The experience of reading is like a journey. As you turn the pages, you walk through unfamiliar lands, meet strangers, and step into their lives. The Burning Plain will lead you to the barren land of Mexico, revealing the deep sorrow and resilience of the human soul hidden beneath the scorching sun. There, you will come to appreciate the value of what you once took for granted and reconsider the conditions of humanity with renewed depth. Regardless of whether one has knowledge or cultivation, anyone who is human will inevitably face fundamental questions of life. Why must we live? Why does suffering exist? What do we hope for? While The Burning Plain does not offer clear answers to these questions, it shows the value of the questions themselves and the human form that silently endures them, offering us profound inspiration. If you are interested in challenging yourself to read books that may initially feel difficult and distant, open The Burning Plain. This book will not only provide a story to read, but also a precious opportunity to experience the true power of humanity, fate, and literature. May you find your own meaning within the burning human lives that flicker across the arid plains.